Hey, welcome to Watch and Waiting on the Lord. Today is November 2nd. I have two topics today. Hope everyone's doing well. I have two topics today, and the first one is going to be about something that I just found this morning in Joel 2. And so I'm going to talk about Joel 2, Revelations, I think it's Revelations 9, parallels. I think they're speaking of the same thing. And I feel like I found this on my own because I never hear people talking about this. So I felt excited. And then the second thing I'm going to talk about, I want you to pay attention because this does matter. I'm speaking this from my heart. It's about narcissism and what you should watch out for. I'm gonna read something that I came across yesterday. I was just reading an article, and I'll share that in the description box of what I read to you. But I'll get to that. Narcissism, people. It's an evil, and I want you to know about it. You need to know about it as a Christian, and for that matter, a lot of Christians have become Christians because they faced a narcissist. And so I'll get at that. I've experienced two in my life, and if I didn't go through a certain experience, I'm sure I still would have been pushed more towards God, but it helped push me even further and get further to where I needed to be in life. So I'm going to talk about narcissism second. I'm going to read this first. And I don't want to speak about my personal life. I just want to read this and tell you some stuff. Like, I don't like talking about my personal life, really. Stuff like that, so. Okay, so this is Joel 2. This is the day of the Lord. Keep listening to what I'm reading. When I get down to verse 4. So this is the day of the Lord. Blow the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming, for it's at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Like the morning clouds spread over the mountains, a people come great and strong, the like of whom has never been seen, nor will there ever be any such after them, even for many successive generations. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Surely nothing shall escape them. Their appearance is like the appearance of horses. Does that sound familiar? And like swift steeds, so they run. With a noise like chariots. Sound familiar? Over mountaintops they leap. Like the noise of a flaming fire that devours the stubble. Like a strong people set in battle array. Sound familiar? Before them, the people writhe in pain. All faces are drained of color. They run like mighty men. They climb the wall like men of war. Each one marches in formation, and they don't break their ranks. They don't push one another over. Everyone marches in his own column. Though they lunge between the weapons, they are not cut down. They run to and fro in the city. They run on the wall. They climb into the houses. They enter in the windows like a thief. The earth quakes before them. The heavens tremble. The sun and the moon dark, and the stars diminish their brightness. The Lord gives his voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For strong is the one who executes his word, for the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can endure it? And so I'm not going to read Revelation. I think it's Revelation 9. I'm going to get to something here, though. But there's a huge parallel. So when I read this morning, I'm like, this sounds like Revelation 9. I'm like, is it possible that's what they're talking about? So I look over and and I looked on Quora, and I found some interesting stuff. I just want to read this. So you know, they speak of the key to the bottomless pit and all this, and you know, golden crowns and a breastplate with, you know, red, yellow, and blue. When they talk about these things, they sound horrifying. What they're talking about, and you know, their power is in the sting of their tail, fire and brimstone and smoke. So many times in Scripture, there are beasts talked about, monsters, all that type of stuff. And we know some of them have been fulfilled, and they weren't monsters. It's just a way of describing, it's just a way of the person who's having the vision describing the best that they can to the people in the future of what they know in that time. So, personally, I believe this could have been already fulfilled, as much of Revelation has been fulfilled. People just don't understand so much has already been fulfilled. For instance, they will, for 42 months, they will trample the holy city. 42 months they did that. That was Papal Rome for 1260 years. You may not believe that, but that's what I believe, and I've studied that prophecy quite, you know, in depth. All right, so I'm going to read you what it says. And take a little bite here. I'm going to read this. I'm going to give you the interpretations of a few people here. In verses 1, okay, so he's talking about chapter 1, but from 1:1 to 2:17, chapter 2, verse 17. So remember, this is chapter 2. You may want to read over 1 and 2. Joel's writing about a coming disaster caused by a plague of locusts. Locusts, sorry. Chapter 1 talks about locusts. That's right before it. I forgot that. Sound familiar? So there it is. There's like 4 or 5 parallels to Revelation 9. I think it's Revelation 9. And demanding that something be done about it. In ancient times, the only thing that could be done in the face of natural disasters was to pray, fast, offer up sacrifices. So this is what Joel had asked to be done. In the verses that follow up to about chapter 2, verse 27, Joel's satisfied with that God will soon rid the land of the locusts and bring bountiful rains. It's unlikely that John of Patmos, the author of Revelation, had the above scenario in mind when writing of the locusts in chapter 9, so I'll go to another one. So it says, oh, what's the question anyways? Might the locust refer to, in Joel 1-2, describe the foreshadow of the locusts of Revelation 9? So this is a theologian, biblical scholar, minister, and author of Revelation rightly revealed. He says, yes, that's correct. Joel 2, 1-11 coincides with Revelation 9, 1-11. Below I've highlighted the similarities. Joel 2, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The appearance of them is like the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so they shall run. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains they shall leap. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. I'm going to have to take a break in my voice here for about 10 seconds. Revelation 9. And he opened the bottomless pit, and there arose a smoke out of the pit, and the smoke of the great furnace. And the sun and the air were darkened by reason of the smoke of the pit. It was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, nor any green thing, nor any tree. But those Only those men which have not the seal of God on their foreheads, and to them it was given that they should not kill them, but that they should be tormented 5 months. And that their torment was a torment of a scorpion when he strikes a man, and the shapes of the locusts were like unto horses prepared unto battle. I see a complete correlation here. And on their heads were as it were crowns like gold, and their faces were as faces of men. And they had breastplates as it were breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings, there was the sound of chariots. So there's complete correlation of many horses running into battle. If it wasn't, I would be stumped. I can't access this whole thing, but you can easily figure this out. I'm going to read this next one, and I'll be done with this, and then you can go and you can look at what I'm telling you. So this is another person, and this is what I believe. And still look into it further. So this is the third answer. I believe Joel chapter 2 is especially relevant. Read Revelation 9, 1-4. The fifth angel sounds a trumpet, etc. This is a new religion come into the world. So here's what this could be. Islam comes to condemn the idolatry of the Catholic Church in that age of history, which they kind of deserved. In Greek, the bottomless pit means desolate wilderness. This could be interpreted as the deserts of Arabia. King Croesus of Persia received a letter from Mecca inviting him to recognize Muhammad as the prophet of God. Croesus, I think it's Croesus, tore the letter to shreds. Croesus soon fell. And some scholars identify this fall as the key to the bottomless pit. The Saracens of Arabia came to power. They then multiplied, and they became like locusts in number. The followers of Muhammad swarmed in all directions. As a scorpion strikes, they conquered in warfare. Muhammad died after death 632. He left orders at his member to respect the religious convictions of those who observe God's law, but to scourge all those who worshipped idols. That's why one of the reasons I turned away from Catholicism. These Muslims used horses in warfare. They wore turbans, appeared as the likeness of crowns, and they had long hair. See verses 5-11. They were given, so here's important. They were given 150 years to torment the Eastern Roman Empire. Say 150 years they did that, and it stopped at Austria, I think. And it says biblical prophecy, as we know, uses the following table to organize prophetic time. A day is a year, right? So 1 year, 360 days equals 360 years, and that's where it cuts off. And I'm like, okay, he's talking about 150 years they did that. So immediately I thought, Revelation, they're going to torment, the scorpions are going to torment for 5 months. So if you do the day for a year prophetic thing from Ezekiel, I forget, it's 2, 3, or 4, it's Ezekiel 4. A day for a year. And if you use the Hebrew calendar, do 5 months. So that's 30 days times 5 equals 150. Right, there you are, 150 years. So could that be true? So that's what came to when I saw this morning, that I started to research it, and this is what I've come across. And it makes you realize that a lot of Revelations is already fulfilled. You just don't know it. And it makes me wonder, like, we're much closer to the end than you think, like, people have no idea. And there's a great urgency in that. Okay, that's it for that, and I'm gonna get to narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, and just give me another 10 seconds here to take a break in my voice. This is important. You know what? As a believer in Christ, in no way am I personally attacking anyone, any peoples, not pointing them out. But if you've never been affected by a narcissist, you have no idea what true evil is, okay? And if you want to find out what true evil is, well, you're going to have to come across one, which I don't recommend. But listen to what I'm going to read. There are many Christian YouTube channels that speak about this, and the Bible doesn't tell you how to deal with them, okay? I've looked and researched. There's nothing in the Bible. Sure, they try to point out narcissistic people, like the Pharisees themselves, but they don't tell you how to deal with what we have now. We live in an epidemic right now. It's a pandemic of narcissism. You can see it on Facebook. You can see it on everywhere. You can see it everywhere. So before I read this to you, I want to try to get these points across first. If you're being affected by a narcissist, stop talking and never ever talk again unless you have to. Just stop it. Like I said, there are Christian YouTube channels. I'll forward you to, well, I'll just say the Royal We. Just go look at that Christian channel. I think 5 to 8% of the population has narcissistic personality disorder, something like that. And their end goal, so from the time they meet you, they have an agenda to build you up, love bomb you, and then to take you down, destroy you, and break you down, and then come back around and hoover you. It's evil. Sorry, I like really bad in my voice and my abdomen today. It's like this every single day, but okay. I myself have had a lot of different traumas in my life. I have post-traumatic stress disorder. I likely have chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. And so you wonder, why do some people turn out like that and some people don't? And there's a question: is it a choice? Is it a choice? And I think it is, because you can have one person that goes through something and another person goes through the same thing, and the difference is, are you willing to come to your truths, to face the shames in your life? Because if you don't face the shames, then you turn this way. Either you turn to the light or you turn to the darkness. That's what it is. And the only way to get better from this, and I'm not saying that God cannot heal a narcissist, because God is God. God can do anything he wants. And you might not think that they can, but I believe God can. You have to turn away from all darkness. You have to stop sinning. And that's how a narcissist has to get better. They have to face life. They have to face the truth. And they have to introspect. So I'm not attacking narcissists, but when you realize how evil the things that they do, this is how evil it can get. You can be dying on your deathbed and you need help to get your pain meds, and they wouldn't get it for you. I'm not kidding you. That's where this goes. Pardon me a second here. I ask you if you have been affected, if like on YouTube here, like people, put a comment and stuff. It could be the narcissist. I'm well aware of that. I know that the next call that comes in, it could be. I've dealt with this before in my life. When and don't read. I'm going to read this, but I'm just getting this across. I knew that God can't take this, the way people are now, the amount of narcissists and the things that are going on in society, electronics, all these types of things have allowed their actions to get much, much worse. And there's a lot of people who have been affected. And so, yeah, pardon me a sec, and then I'm going to read the rest of this. I saw something happen and I was taken back and I knew it meant something. Two things happened, but the first one I knew. The virus had already happened, but it wasn't a long time after that. Remember the Amber Heard trial and Johnny Depp? And it was televised? When that happened, I knew in my heart this meant something. The whole world sees it. The whole world can see what Amber Heard is like. She's lying with every breath. And I knew it meant something for the world. And look at the world now. Look at the world now. Look at what could possibly happen tomorrow with this, with Hezbollah and the rest of Iran and everything. It's just there's signs. Then you see Will Smith, and I feel bad for him, and I don't. Because you have to wonder what pushed him. It was that Jada woman who pushed him. She's a covert narcissist, which are the worst of them. You can just look further into that and look at the birthday party he planned for 3 years and what she did about it. I don't look into that stuff like stars and stuff like that, but when it comes to narcissism, I just happen to want to hear it. They were signs. But you know what? Now, if I hadn't gone through any of that type of stuff and learned like how evil these people are, I wouldn't have been pushed towards God, and I ended up getting all my pain diagnosis, getting a whole bunch of diagnosis, getting things done in my life, and despite the pain that I go through as like in my abdomen and these, I'm better for it. So I'm going to read you something here that like I couldn't put this in a better way. I'm not going to give you where this is from for a reason, but I'm going to share the actual words in the description box. So, narcissists move very quickly. This is how you know, okay? They move very fast in relationships. It's not uncommon to hear, "I love you," and or be bombarded with love songs, texts, memes a few weeks after meeting them. By rushing into sex and intimacy, they fast forward the relationship. This person should win an award for this. They get their targets to fall for them before he or she can realize something is amiss. I believe this is also the reason they tend to be very good lovers. Sex is usually the hook in toxic relationships. Narcissists lack genuine personalities, so they mirror their targets. They mirror what you are. If you find you have so much in common with a new person, your likes are their likes, your dislikes are coincidentally their dislikes as well, raise your antennas. They may be mirroring you. This is the soulmate's hook. You also notice they'll spend more time telling you who they are versus showing you. As time goes on, you'll notice the words they use to describe themselves don't fit their personality at all, but they will fit yours. Passive-aggressive behavior and irrational, unexplained anger are also major red flags. Pay attention to how a person treats you the first time you say no, and when things don't go their way. If they give you the silent treatment, grow cold, and or pull away, don't overlook it. Most importantly, if someone pulls away or goes silent after you set a boundary, don't pursue them. This is how they groom you to be the chaser in the relationship. It's emotional abuse, manipulation. Pay close attention to people who portray themselves as victims. So they're called vulnerable narcissists. Nothing is ever their fault. Everyone, including the family pet, has done them wrong. All of their exes are crazy and mistreated them. Yep. They're great, but no one appreciates said greatness. Simply put, it's bullshit. Sorry, I don't like swearing, but no one should have a laundry list of bad experiences. If they do, run, because they're the common denominator. Narcissists tend to have a history of failed short-term relationships. Believe it or not, it's hard for narcissists to find people to deal with them long-term due to their instability and poor behavior. Superficial relationships / friendships. It's very tough for me to talk for long periods of time. I've noticed they don't have anyone genuinely close to. This is due to their inability to bond and form true attachments to people. Their relationships are shallow and based on surface level BS. They refer to someone as their best friend, but you'll notice they barely speak, or that the person is never really around, or only shows up when it's time to party, etc. They may also speak down on poorly of the best friend behind their back. This is a thing that they will do, okay? They gossip and they talk behind people's back. Narcissists tend to be condescending, two-faced, and downright mean. Based on my experience, this isn't mine, this is just a person here, and I'll share it. They can't talk about deep subjects, fears and emotions, or how a situation truly made them feel, or what their childhood was like in detail. They don't want to go there. I suspect it's because they can't. They don't know themselves well enough. They can't connect. They also live in a world of dishonesty. They're very dishonest with themselves about who they truly are. So I'll say very quickly, that's what I pointed out before I read this. Either you can choose to go towards the light or towards the darkness. Which one are you going to choose? If it's shameful, just keep taking it, or else you're never going to get to that light. Pardon me a sec. I went through things in my life that I feel shameful for, but I don't talk about them all the time, but like it's not like I'm not willing to type thing, because you have to unleash those things. I may have another stone coming, I don't know, like it's moving. A poor relationship with their mother, primary caregiver. Underlying issues when narcissists and their mothers, in brackets abuse, neglect, don't get along, seems to be common. People that I've known who've displayed strong narcissistic tendencies all had bad relationships with their mothers. I think it's worth mentioning their mothers are also displayed strong narcissistic traits. I'm fully aware and understand that there are healthy adults who have toxic mothers. However, if you're spotting several red flags in an individual, including this one, pay close attention. They're selfish. Some are selfish from the very beginning. Some start out generous and slowly begin withholding. Some act helpless and needy. They manipulate people into doing things for them but never give back. It's not only financial and material selfishness. They're selfish emotionally, affectionately, conversationally, sexually, and with their attention. They withhold validation and support. Everything has to be about them, their needs, their wants, and everything happens on their own terms. Anger, rage, silent treatments, and disappearing acts are common when they don't get their way. Pathological lying. Narcissists are professional liars. It's their second nature, and that's what I mean. Like, if you are and you're watching this, you're a narcissist, you still have the option to try to get better. Excuse me, and I believe God can heal you. If you call them out, they'll have no issue staring deeply into your eyes as they tell another lie. So what I know is that they'll try to tell you the truth with a lie, okay? That's what we're dealing with here. You hardly ever get the truth. Even with unchallengeable proof of the truth, they'll hold on to the lie. It's actually quite fascinating to see them in action. Once you know what you're dealing with, they all play the same playbook. They also have the uncanny ability to provoke doubt in their victims even when you know the truth, because their lies are so convincing. Beware of people who don't seek conflict resolution. So if you're into something and they don't want to talk about it, stay away. Like if someone does that to you and they're not willing to work out a problem with you, that's a red flag. Give them the silent treatment so they know what they've done wrong. Pardon me a sec. So this is a big one. Many narcissists enjoy drama and chaos. And remember, these are high conflict personalities. Many of them need to argue and fight. Peace to a narcissist is what chaos is to a non-disordered person. It's unsettling. This is why they repeat behaviors that trigger a negative response. So they like positive and negative. They like either one. They want a reaction out of you, and that's it. They get that, and then it's like their dopamine hit. They need tension, anger, and high out of control emotions. They're known for calling people crazy, like their ex-boyfriends, drama queens, insecure, etc., but never admit what they did to provoke these responses. And when you attempt to discuss and resolve anything they said or did, they gaslight, stonewall, and flip it back onto you. They're extremely disrespectful, rude, and have a lack of self-awareness. They have an issue with being called out on their behavior and deflect to avoid accountability. Normal people want to get along for the most part, so they seek fair compromises when a conflict arises. Narcissists want to win, and conflict is their niche. This is how many narcissists get their way. Do you hear how bad this is? That's why I'm reading this. They wear people down via conflict, and so the narcissist that you dealt with counts on you not speaking out, and especially about them. Immaturity. It's one thing to be playful and lighthearted in appropriate settings as an adult. It's something completely different to be immature. Narcissists suffer from arrested development. They don't know how to respond to situations, people, stress, life appropriately. They have a child mindset. They truly believe everything is about them, and so they'll just talk about themselves. That's another sign for you to know. Not at the beginning, but it will turn that way. And they have no concept of the need of others. By nature, children are takers. They have no concept of reciprocation. They believe their parents and everyone else exists to meet their needs. When their needs aren't met or they don't get what they want, they become mean and throw tantrums. Narcissists can't think outside of themselves and their wants and needs like children. They're completely unaware that people are individuals with their own agency, needs, wants, opinions. They truly believe people exist to serve them. They believe their job is to receive. They're children trapped in adult bodies who can't consider anything and anyone other than themselves. Like, they're the best at everything, and things like you can't be sicker than them. They'll be sicker than you. Above everything I've stated, trust your intuition. Narcissists give off an uneasy vibe. They try really hard to appear calm, cool, and collected. on the surface, but you can feel their energy. It's very off-putting. They'll also tend to have more noticeable negative qualities than most people. But you have to stop justifying and making excuses in order to see things clearly. Accept people for who they are and not who you want them to be. Observe, listen, and trust yourself. No one should be allowed to grant themselves a position in your life. Vet people and you decide they'll be a liability or an asset to you. Lastly, take cues from your body. If you ever feel your mood change, anxious, or feel your stomach knot up in the company of someone, don't dismiss that. It could be a sign that you're in bad company. And then they came back, and if that wasn't enough, pardon, you have to give me another second. I'm having a bad time right now. They re-edited it and then added something else in. Pardon me a sec. Can't tell you how hard it is to do these videos with acute abdominal pain. If you ever feel the need to ask yourself, who the hell is this person? You may be dealing with a narcissist. They are painfully inconsistent. Their pathology dysfunction is consistent. None of what they do makes sense. What they do and say in the beginning will never add up once the newness wears off. They leave you with tons of unanswered questions, namely, who the hell is this person? You don't feel that way when you're interacting with normal people. Most people are consistent in their thoughts and behavior. You feel a comfortable familiarity with time. Narcissists can't provide that feeling because they lack a true identity. Once they stop mirroring you, they get bored with pretending. You'll see you have no clue as to who he or she is, and that's scary. And then they edit it once more. Like, don't you think this is an excellent article? Like, I thought it was. This is the best one I've ever read. Projection. If you truly deal with the narcissist, conflict is inevitable, and it's in conflict when they tell the truth. Think about that. It's in conflict when they tell the truth about who they truly are in the form of projection onto you. Tension quietly builds when you're in close proximity to a narcissist. You can't always put your finger on it, but you feel it. Narcissists lack respect for others and their boundaries. They're provocative and antagonistic. So whether it's sooner or later, they'll be in an emotional explosion. And when, not if, things explode and they begin to rage, you'll find yourself being called names. Okay, that don't apply to you, but definitely applies to them. You'll also be accused of feeling, saying, thinking, and doing things you never felt, never said, never thought, and never did. I didn't fall for those. I saw right through what happened to me, and I had to let go of this person. This is long. If you've researched this topic, you realize in these moments that the narcissist is telling you how they feel, what they've said, and what they think and what they've done. The downside is when you haven't done the research and you don't know what you're dealing with, you'll allow this maneuver to completely derail and unhinge you. You'll lose sight of what's happening because you'll be wrapped in defending yourself and your character. You'll spend hours arguing, writing novel-length text, so that's what I did, and emails refuting them, justifying, explaining why and how all the garbage you're being accused of isn't true. Obviously, this person went through the ringer, but they have a good analogy, good description here. You may even try to point out how what they're saying applies to them and their behavior. Don't fall for it. It's a trap. It's done to devalue you and confuse you by derailing the conversation. It takes the focus off of the narcissist and their behavior and places it on you. It's simply another defense mechanism used to avoid shame accountability and responsibility while making other people the problem. You can avoid getting caught in this by recognizing for what it is, a subconscious confession. If someone accuses you of the very thing they're clearly doing, run. Normal, healthy people don't do this, especially when they don't have proof. So ask for proof. You can show a narcissist proof that you've never done what they're accusing you of, and they'll still deny the reality. They can't face the truth about who they are, so they project and then they run. I'd like to add to that normal, healthy people also project. If you've ever been with a narcissist, at some point you also project who you are onto them. It's the reason so many people have a hard time accepting the narcissist, who the narcissist truly is. You were projecting your goodness onto them. You're projecting your character onto them. We must believe people when they show us who they are the first time. So I look here, and that has an upvote of 10,000, 460 shares, and 1.5 million views. You hear all that, right? That's evil. That's evil. Never let a person like that into your life. Copy this, keep this, remember this. A lot of Christians are Christians because of these things. I just want to say, if by chance a narcissist is watching this, as I'm sure all the narcissists in my life are probably watching all my videos. It's just their nature, okay? That it's never too late to ask God into your heart. All you have to do is try to face what's wrong with you. Confront those things. Stop doing those sinning behaviors. You have to break it, because if you don't break it, you're going to continue to be this way. And so the only thing I'm going to say before I cut this off is you have to cut them off. If you don't, you're going to get very sick. Thanks for watching today's video. I had to read that because I read that last night, and I want people to hear that, because we are in the very last days. I don't mean we're in the last 14 days. It could be a year, it could be 2 years, but it's looking like war is here. So thanks for watching today. I have a lot of trouble with my stomach. Oh, I wanted to say this because I know David again. You liked my candles, so I was going to show 2 of them. There are 2 of my, I have, maybe about 10 favorite candles. I have about 70 different types, and I'll show you 2 of them. This is 2 skeletons, a male and a female getting married, and this is like out of the Tim Burton movie, like their animation. Doesn't show it very clearly in my thing here, so it's as good as it gets. It's an excellent candle. It's more of a novelty than anything. It will burn though. This is definitely one of my favorites. This is definitely a favorite of my customers, so I call it my night owl. It's nice, eh? You can see that, a lot of detail. Anyways, thanks for watching today's video. God bless everyone.